Hello guys! After exploring Corner Brook, our cruise took us all the way up north. So in today's video, let's go with us to a little town called St. Anthony.
St. Anthony is about 500 kilometers from Corner Brook. That's like a 7-hour drive or a full day by sea.
Flight attendants, prepare for takeoff, please.
But here's the fun part. The big cruise ship can't go all the way to the town harbor. The water is too shallow and narrow for a giant ship, so we had to hop onto a smaller boat.
Where are we going now, friends?
St. Anthony?
Where is St. Anthony's?
Over there.
Okay. Which country is it?
Canada.
Which province is it?
St. Newfoundland and Labrador.
Yes.
And read for about 20 more minutes to reach the final dock. It felt like a mini adventure within our big adventure.
That's what you're listening to.
You're a good guy?
No, it's okay.
It's a chilly, huh?
Just like coffee.
Is he on Walker?
St. Anthony is so remote and the roads are often covered in snow or ice. So for many years, seaplanes helped connect this region to the rest of Canada.
Yup! Planes that land on water were often the only way to bring in mail, medicine, and even people during bad weather or winter. Ships couldn't get through because the ocean would freeze, and regular planes couldn't land there because there weren't any runways, just snow, rocks, and forests.
But seaplanes could land right on the water in the harbor, like a flying boat. It was super useful and sometimes even saved lives. Even today, some remote towns in Canada still use seaplanes when there's no road or airport nearby.
So even though it's small, St. Anthony Harbor has always been important for boats and even for planes.
St. Anthony is a tiny town with only about 2,200 people living there. That's really, really small. Corner Brook has about 20,000 people, so that is almost 10 times more than St. Anthony.
St. Anthony only has about 3 people per square kilometer. That's super low.
In fact, it's one of the least populated towns in Canada, but even though the population is small, St. Anthony's land area is pretty big. It's spread out with lots of bays, forests, and coastline.
People don't live here because it's so far from big cities. The closest city is hundreds of kilometers away. That means no malls, no airports, and no highways nearby.
And the tiny flowers?
Getting groceries or going to the hospital can take a long time, especially when the roads are icy. But although it's far away and quiet, it's full of amazing nature. Sometimes you'll see more animals than people. You might spot a moose, a fox, or even a polar bear if you're lucky or careful.
Canada is full of wild and beautiful places like this. It has forests, glaciers, mountains, oceans, and more lakes than any country in the world.
And here in St. Anthony, you get to feel just how big and wild Canada really is.
One of the first things we noticed in St. Anthony wasn't a person, it was a moose.
That's right, around here, moose are everywhere. People say they're almost like speed bumps with legs. You'll see big yellow warning signs on the road that say, "Moose crossing," and they're there for a really good reason.
Moose can be really hard to see at night. They're tall and dark, and sometimes they just walk right into the road. If you're not watching carefully, a car could crash into a moose, and that's super dangerous for both the moose and the people in the car.
Because moose are huge, some weighed over 600 kilograms. If you hit one, it's like hitting a wall on legs. It's not just the front of the car that gets damaged. Their whole body can fall through the windshield right onto the driver or passenger.
That's why drivers here always slow down, especially at night or in forested areas. And believe it or not, moose aren't even native to Newfoundland. They were brought here in 1904, just 4 of them. Now there are over 120,000 moose on the island, and around St. Anthony, there may be more moose than people.
So if you're ever driving here, watch out for these signs. And for the moose.
After hopping off the little boat, our first stop in St. Anthony was this special historic house on the hill, the Granville House Museum.
This used to be home for Dr. Wilfred Grenfell, a doctor who came here from England over 100 years ago, which was in 1925, with his wife and their 3 children.
Dr. Grenfell heard stories about people in northern Newfoundland and Labrador who were sick, poor, and had no doctors. Many were fishermen and their families living in cold, hard conditions. So he decided to leave his home in England and moved all the way here to help. Dr. Grenfell came here to help the fishermen, families, and children. He didn't just treat sick people. He helped build schools, hospitals, and even homes for those in need.
People say he helped turn St. Anthony from a tiny fishing village into a real community. That's why his house is now a museum, to remember all the good things he did.
In the museum, you can see Dr. Grenfell's old medical tools, his office, and even the sled dogs he used to travel across the snow in winter to reach faraway villages.
There are also stories, photos, and letters that show how hard people worked and how much kindness can change a whole town.
This museum doesn't just show history, it teaches the visitors how one person with a big heart can make a big difference. Right across from the Granville House Museum, there's something we didn't expect to find. A cute little playground.
I saw you, Mary. I saw you. Air walking. Look at me. I'm videoing you.
After learning so much history, it felt really good to see something simple and fun. Just waiting here in the sunshine.
I ran straight to the swing. It's right by the ocean with the salty breeze in your face and waves crashing nearby. It felt so free, so fresh, like flying, but in a quiet, peaceful way. Like many old coastal towns, St. Anthony has its very own lighthouse, a small white tower by the sea, built to help ships find their way in fog, rain, or darkness.
It's been guiding boats for years and years, and now it's part of the town's history.
Today, we're walking there. The round trip is about 5 kilometers. That's 2.6 kilometers each way. And yes, we walked the whole thing.
It was a long walk. We passed a supermarket, a pharmacy, and even a beautiful old church.
Look to your right. There's an St. Anthony United Church. Different than Alexander, I think.
After that, a long stretch of open road. On one side, the ocean. On the other side, forest.
It was tiring, but it was also peaceful. We could hear the waves, the wind, and the birds.
That is the sound from the ship.
But guess what? That was just the beginning. If you want to reach the very top of the lighthouse and you see the whole town below, there's still a challenge waiting. You'll need to climb 476 steps all the way to the top of the peak near the lighthouse.
How much steps is it? No, at the lighthouse. If you want to go to the top, it's another 450 steps. Tired, right? No, it's a long walk. 2 kilometers walk.
From up there, you can see the whole coastline, the harbor, and even little icebergs floating far out into the sea. It's gonna be worth it though. So if you ever come to Fishing Point in St. Anthony, you must absolutely visit the lighthouse. It's one of the most peaceful and beautiful spots in the town.
Okay, this is it. The famous Fishing Point Lighthouse, also called the Fox Point Lighthouse. We finally made it.
We stood there, right by the edge of the cliff, breathing in the fresh, salty air. It was so open and quiet, like the whole town was resting beneath our feet.
Mom, take a photo.
It looks so cute. The house and sleigh.
Right before the lighthouse, we saw this big stone plate with a story carved into it. The history of St. Anthony Harbor.
We learned that this harbor was named by a French explorer named Jacques Cartier in 1534. But even before that, it's likely that French fishermen from Britain had already been coming here for many years.
For a long time, this harbor was one of the main French fishing stations in the north. But in 1904, France officially lost its fishing rights here.
Later, English settlers came too, though at first, it wasn't exactly allowed under the old treaties with France. But slowly, they stayed and the town began to grow.
Then, the sky turned gray, and it started to rain just a little.
So we rushed into the little cafe next to the lighthouse, the perfect cozy spot to warm up. And just like that, we've explored all the must-see spots when visiting St. Anthony.
Even though this place feels wild and quiet, and there's not a lot of big attractions or games to play, it's still 100% worth exploring. Why? Because it's real, it's raw, and it shows you a side of Canada that not many people get to see.
The giant cliffs, the silence, the moose walked by, the whales, the wind, the stories hidden in the hills. If you ever visit St. Anthony, here's what we recommend. Climb to the lighthouse, look for whales, visit the Grenfell house, and stop and swing by the ocean.
And don't forget, watch the icebergs too. We were a little sad that during our visit, there were no more icebergs left to see. We just missed them.
So if you ever come here during the right time of the year, usually in late spring or early summer, we totally recommend going iceberg spotting. It's magical.
Now, it's time for us to head back to the cruise ship and continue our journey, our next and final stop, St. John's, and we'll take you there in next week's video.
Me or Gucci?
Gucci?
Rose and Karen. Rose and Karen.
Thanks for coming along with us. See you next time in St. John's. Bye for now.